look where the speakers are figuring out where you fall on the agenda, I want to give a quick plug to the Halloween takeover. So we're doing community building events again. Next Thursday, there's an event at the Skyway Bowl.
Weston's having this community meeting.
So there's going to be a lot of fun activities. So it starts from at 6 p.m. There's going to be pumpkin painting and some other things. What's the movie that's being played? I can't remember the movie.
Nightmare Before Christmas in 3D.
Yeah, so you got a 3D movie. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. So I think we'll get started so we can make it through our agenda. And we're going to start with an update from the Skyway Coalition, and Jeremy's going to provide that.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Jeremy Williams standing in for Rebecca with the Skyway Coalition. Just wanted to give some quick updates. If you're subscribed to the Skyway Coalition newsletter, you'll have seen a couple of calls to action come out just today, actually. So one is that it is King County budgeting season. So we're really asking community members to email or, if you can, give virtual or in-person testimony to the Affordable Housing, to the Budgeting Committee for the oversight of the King County budget. And particularly, we're looking for more investment into the community center. So while we have acquired $5 million for affordable housing and $10 million for acquisition of a site for a community center, it's going to take a lot more than that to actually get it built. So really hoping that community can show up and show out for advocating for additional dollars to go towards the implementation of that community center. And then also coming up this Thursday, we're asking that community show up to a open house that is at the Holy Temple site over in the Skyway Business District. It's at 4:30 to 6 p.m. and it's hosted by the new developer that has acquired that site, Garner Global. And so, to date, the coalition hasn't had a lot of voice in with this developer around the community needs and priorities. So it's really critical that our community members show up and voice their concerns and around community needs. So if you can, please try to come out to the open house at the Holy Temple site this Thursday, October 20th from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Thank you, and that's the update.
Thank you, Jeremy. So next up is King County Local Services, John or Bong. No.
I don't see either of them here tonight.
Okay. Did Skyway Water and Sewer? I saw Cynthia.
Thanks, Joel. I'm here. I'll try to be brief. I did have a presentation I'd like to share on one of our projects, if that's okay, and I'll try to stay within the 5-minute limit. Is that possible?
That would be awesome. Thank you.
All right. So if I just click screen share, I'm not a tech whiz here, so. Here we go. Can everyone see my screen there?
Yep, I see it.
All right, great. My only challenge is I won't be able to see any comments in the chat room. So if you want to save that until at the end, that would be great. So I wanted to just give everyone an overview about one of our planned community water and sewer replacement projects. It's called Skyway Park North Sewer Replacement Phase 1. And that indicates that there is a Phase 2. All right. I'll go briefly over what the problem is, what we've done in the way of investigation, what the solution or benefits are to the project, why we're doing it now, and give you just a schematic of the proposed improvements, and then take questions if there's time. Okay, here's an area of the map of the project area. You can see that it's on the north side of Renton Avenue, just opposite Skyway Park. And most of you know the streets there better than I do. Okay. Here's the crux of the matter. The sewer mains in this area are more than 70 years old. They're past their 50-year life expectancy. We've had numerous maintenance issues and backups that have resulted in property damage. And the sewer mains are subject to infiltration and inflow. That means fluids going into the sewer pipes that don't belong there because the sewer pipes are so decrepit. The water mains in that area are more than 60 years old, well past their 50-year life expectancy. They have a history of repeated breaks, and they don't meet our minimum standards of 8-inch diameter. The problem with main breaks is that they result in interruption of domestic or drinking water that comes to your house and fire protection service. There's the potential for water system contamination during repairs, and it's more costly to do repairs on the spur of the moment than when we plan replacement projects. We've done basically two types of investigation. One is geotechnical borings for subsurface information and field surveys to locate property lines and where the infrastructure is located. What are the solution and the benefits? Well, basically the solution is to replace the pipes and service lines. The benefits are it will eliminate, again, those costly emergency repairs. It reduces infiltration into the new by putting in new pipelines. We reduce the sewage load on our downstream main sewer pump station, which basically gives us added capacity for development in the upland area, reduces the likelihood of property and environmental damage, and avoids increased costs that we see due to insurance premiums resulting from claims. Why are we doing this now? As more time passes and the infrastructure becomes older, the risk of a main break or a service interruption increases. The replacement costs for this project have been incorporated into the water and sewer rates over several years. And we have recently, as of last year, secured a low interest Public Works Trust Fund loan through the Department of Commerce. Excuse me. Here's a very sketchy sketch of what we'll be replacing in that neighborhood. And again, this is a 60,000 foot level. So if it says 34 manholes, we might end up doing 35 or 33. All right. But we'll be replacing the mainline sewers on those streets, along with the side sewers and the manholes. To take advantage of this project, and because the water system is also in bad shape, we will be replacing the water lines and the hydrants in a similar area, along with the service lines to individual residences. Any questions? And hopefully that's within my 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was great. I have a quick question. Your last line, you said you're replacing sewer lines to individual residents. So that means each home in that area is going to get a new sewer line?
That's correct. I can't say to every home, Joel. That might be an area where we replace a main line and a property service line leaves the property in a different direction. But yes, we're allowed to replace the side sewer lines as part of a capital improvement project because a degraded side sewer brings additional flow and other debris into the mainline system. So as a way of protecting a brand new mainline system, we're allowed to replace the side sewer. Good question.
Is there a process for inspecting those side sewers to see who's in more need of getting it replaced? Like maybe it's already kind of fallen apart with roots and whatnot.
We will, unless someone declines to have their side sewer replaced, which they will have the option to do, we will be requesting a right of entry from customers because it will require us to go on their private property, and a property owner has the option to decline that. Or if they tell us that there, was replaced in the last year or two of their own volition, otherwise we would go ahead and replace it. So it's really the homeowner's choice, but it's to their benefit to take advantage of it, unless they have a brand new side sewer.
Yeah, in terms of communication, how are you going to share with homeowners, hey, this is a good deal for you, you should do it?
Well, right now we're including updates in our bi-monthly newsletter. We'll also be sending out mailers to customers, letters, talking about the project and asking for the right of entry to do that side sewer replacement. Right now, the project is 90% design. We are currently scheduled to advertise in 2023 and go to construction in 2023, 2024. But that is subject to approval by the Board of Commissioners.
I have a question. Craig Parsley, Rainier Beach.
Certainly, Craig.
Does the sewer project tie into the sanitary sewer, tie into the sewer main that runs through Lake Ridge Park down to Rainier Avenue? I'm looking at, there's not a lot of resolution on what I'm seeing here on the maps. So if you could tell me, where does this tie into the Renton sewer or the Seattle sewer system sanitaries?
Craig, I'll have to check to confirm that because I'm not a system operator, but all this flow runs down into our main pump station, which I believe is then transferred west to the interceptor along MLK. But if you let me check on that, I'll confirm that information and share it with the group.
And you can share that on the West Hill site, the Facebook page.
Mhm.
That would be great. I'd like to know that because I want to know if we're adding capacity to the 230 plus homes that are tied into the system that runs down through Lake Ridge Park.
Oh, are you talking about Lake Ridge Park as in Dead Horse Canyon?
Yes, and the system that ties there. And I'm looking
No.
at this. I
No.
can't see the map very well. I don't have the resolution. I see Renton Avenue.
So we're Renton Avenue, 118th is.
118, thank you.
Yes, that's as far as it goes. No, this does not run down through Dead Horse Canyon.
Thank you. Now that I've got that information, I can look at the maps and see. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome.
Any other questions?
If not, I'll stop sharing, and you're always welcome to contact the district or check our website for more information and read the bi-monthly newsletter.
I see a hand with Ryan Quigtar.
Yeah, hey Cynthia, this is Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
I had two questions. One is, you mentioned side sewer. I am not all familiar with all the different things regarding water and sewer. But side sewer, I know there was an organization called ECOS, ECOSS. I can get the website. I don't remember what the acronym stands for.
Okay.
But they have some programs where they were actually doing some advertising at the Skyway Resource Center around individual homes if they wanted to update or replace their side sewer. I don't know all the specific terminology. That just comes to mind because I think for a lot of folks, what I don't want to say a concern is just, I know you're going to send out as much information as you can to inform them of their decision. But I think for some folks who might not be familiar or, just wanting to have all the information as possible. So maybe that could be something where there's a partnership to do a workshop or give more information really around what exactly is the benefits of me doing this versus, something, because I know you all might have limited capacity to answer as many questions as might come up. The second thing that comes to mind is you mentioned it would be a low interest loan. Does that mean that because there is interest, does any of that burden then shift to folks through their bills? The reason I ask that is I know there's a lot of infrastructure money coming down from the feds into states and counties, and curious if you've got support from the state or county around this project, because I think for the size of what you're describing now, that should be supported, and you not have to take out loans, but just curious.
Well, to your first question, I'd be curious as to what ECOS, and if you send me the link, that would be appreciated. But everything that the district does, we're your water and sewer service district, and everything that we do is paid by rates, bi-monthly water and sewer rates. We don't get any tax dollars. There's no other free money unless it's grants. And right now, it's an application process. There are drinking water opportunities, some grants, but oftentimes your system has to be in bad enough shape that to qualify for a grant. The next best opportunity is loans, and we balance paying for projects with cash and with borrowed money. There's no one right answer. It's a 20-year loan. So indirectly or directly, this work is all paid for by customer rates. So I think that answers your first question. But also, as far as the side sewers, we'll put a tutorial or a 101 in our newsletter to just let folks know in general, because customers actually own the side sewer from their house to the main in the street, or in their backyard, if that's where it happens to be. And folks may not be aware of that. We do publish articles from time to time to bring that to people's attention, but it's always good to have a refresher.
Yeah.
What we are allowed to do as part of a capital project is replace that side sewer. And it's going to be less expensive for us to do it as part of a capital project than for an individual homeowner.
Thank you, Cynthia.
You're
And I'll put the website in the chat.
Okay.
I can make an introduction if you wanted later on after the meeting, if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd be interested. We're always also interested in if there are resources that are available to community members that don't directly tie in with our capital work. We still want to make that information available to customers. It's not a competition.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Any
And
other
again,
questions?
always contact us with questions.
So next up, we have an update from the King County Fire District 20 from Chief Hicks. I saw him on. Do you have anything to share, Chief Hicks?
Sure. Hello, everyone, and good evening. My name is Eric Hicks. I am your fire chief for King County Fire District 20. Just a quick update. Coming out of COVID, we're trying to bring back some of our programs. One thing about coming out of COVID is our call volume has increased. Over the last 2 years, we're looking at about a 26% increase in our call volume, which means that we are looking at hiring more staff. We're in a budget planning process now. And out of that budget planning process, we're looking at hiring 2 new firefighters that will start next year. Along with that comes the ACAR being in service. And so that's something that we're kind of dealing with. We're looking at, we're continuing to evaluate. Some of you may have saw one of our rescue team members, water rescue team members on Facebook. And some of you may not know, but we do have a water rescue team. It consists of 4 people in our department, 1 on each shift. And so if we get a call down on Lake Washington or Coulon Beach or the Cedar River, there's kind of a regional approach to this. So as far as our district, we'll be the first on scene, and we can have somebody jump in the water and actually try to perform a rescue. Our rescue swimmers are trained to swim at least 100 yards offshore. And they're also trained to dive 40 feet, free dive 40 feet in water. That includes pools, the lake, and also slow moving rivers. So we're very proud to have the team. The team's been in service since the summer of last year, and they have continuous training throughout the year, whether it's in the dark and cold weather. This is a year-round rescue team. Community events, we were happy to participate in National Night Out, the Outdoor Cinema. The Skyway Firefighters Union and the Skyway Volunteers Association hosted a pancake breakfast to benefit the Skyway VFW post. I want to thank the community and all of our safety partners that participated in the health and safety fair. It was a great success, being one of the major events that we put on coming out of COVID. So we're very happy about that. One of the posts you might have seen also on Facebook that we sent a strike team or an engine up to Skycomish Valley to help protect the property and people of Index, Washington. So this kind of give you a quick overview what a strike team is. When there is a situation going on in certain parts of west of the mountains here, fire bosses or fire commanders can call for a strike team. And what they'll get is a strike team from our area, a strike team from Seattle, a strike team from the east side area where the Bellevue, Redmond, Kirkland, and also in Snohomish County. So those teams actually converged in that area, and they were set up to protect different towns for the period of anywhere from 12 to 24 hours, while Department of Natural Resources got hand teams together to actually go up there and fight the fire. So our department was participated in that and deployed up there for that 24 hours. Let's see. We are working hard to bring back some of our programs that we kind of we canceled during the pandemic, which was our CPR and also our CERT program. So 2023, be looking for those programs to get back online and invite the community to participate. Other than that, I appreciate all the support that the community has given the fire department, and we'll continue to be there for you and work hard. So I'll take any questions that you may have.
Any
I was
questions?
unmuted, right?
Anything in the chat?
Nope, not for Chief Hicks.
Okay, so let's move on. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Let's move on to the King County Sheriff's Office. Is Vicky on? Or Major
Me.
Kanuski? I hope I pronounced that right.
I'm not sure if the major's on or not. I'm here. I'm Vicky. I didn't hear from him tonight, so I'm going to say I don't think he's on. Thank you for hosting tonight, and thank you for letting me speak. I am the new Community Service Officer for the King County Sheriff's Office in Skyway. For those of you that don't know me, I started August 1st. As Chief Hicks said, it was kind of like a jump in, and then they had National Night Out and they had this health and safety fair. So it was a really great opportunity to partner with our friends at the fire department for both of those events. And it's been a fabulous introduction to Skyway. Also got to meet a lot of my friends from the West Hill Association at those movies, Friday night movie nights. I really think that's fabulous. And somebody made a comment about how the fact that the wall has never been tagged, and I'm going to knock on wood as I say it, is really an indication of just the good work that's going on in the community and how much the community has respect for the West Hill Association. Yesterday, the Water District, I'm hitting all my friends here, hosted us for a meeting, for an interview session for hiring of the new community service storefront officer. So this is going to be a deputy who's a commissioned officer with the department that will just be responsible for engagement and sort of doing those deep dives into the community to see really where the need is from a commissioned officer's point of view. Basically, that's my partner because I want to do all the engagement work as well. We're going to be excited to probably announce that at the end of this week, who that person is. We had 4 really great contestants for that job, and we're really excited to get that person in place so that we can start doing more community engagement work. And I am happy to answer questions as well. Recently, I just talked to Chief Hicks about this today. Still have to work out some of the legalities, but I was just certified as a child passenger safety technician. So that's going to be something that's exciting. Keep your eyes out for some opportunities for us to check those car seats and make sure the babies of Skyway are safe.
Awesome. Are there any questions? Anything in the chat?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So now we're going to move into Friends of Dead Horse Canyon.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Pritchard with Friends of Dead Horse Canyon. I'm sure most of you know Dead Horse Canyon. It's a Seattle park, but it shares land with both Lake Ridge and Skyway. The canyon runs into Skyway and the forest. And Friends of Dead Horse Canyon have been working there for over 30 years, doing eco restoration, taking out invasive plants and planting local plants and trees. And recently, they've found out that SPU is doing a project to reduce sediment in the creek, Taylor Creek. that runs through the canyon. And realized that they were going to build a road in the canyon, cutting down hundreds of trees. So there's been a lot of organizing efforts around getting more information from SPU on behalf of the community and really the Friends group. And also just relaying back to SPU that building a road and cutting down many trees is not acceptable, and that we want a bigger community process to figure out another solution to reduce the sediment in the creek. And we also, so really that's our main ask, but we're also wanting them and we're asking them to work with King County and to work with unincorporated King County and Skyway and Lake Ridge to come up with a solution, because it's bigger than just working in the creek. We know that the stormwater on Lake Ridge and in Skyway also impacts the canyon. So that's another big ask we have, is that they work with King County to come up with an alternative solution than building a road and bringing in lots of machinery to do their project. So we are having an event, a fun educational event, October 29th, called Into the Canyon. We're calling it Political Theater. And one of my fellow actors and organizers is here, Craig Parsley. And it's just a fun family event. It's free. It's like a play as you walk through the canyon. I will put a flyer in the chat for you all. And, you know, we really want to gear it towards young kids and families that live in the neighborhood. So if you know people or you yourself want to come, that'd be great. And it's October 29th from 4 to 6. Yes. And be prepared to walk. There's walking involved. But if you haven't been to the canyon, you should check it out.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, this is Joel. There was one comment that someone didn't know where it was. Can you pull up a quick
Yes,
picture? Because it is a gym. And
yes, it's
people-
Taylor Creek Trail.
Yeah.
Correct. There are many names. Some people call it Lake Ridge Park, Taylor Creek Trail, or Dead Horse Canyon.
I just dropped a link in the chat that takes you to the WTA.org site that gives you updates about the trail itself, and there's a map on there as well.
Okay, cool. And I'll be putting in a couple of documents that'll lead you to the Friends website.
Just an FYI, on the 29th, the VFW is doing their trunk or treat. It might be a good idea for us to have some flyers maybe we can hand out. So after they're done with the trunk or treat, they can come over to your event.
Yeah, there will be candy too. Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. So I'll put the link in for the flyer or the
Happy
link.
to hand some out.
Okay, thanks.
So I'm gonna just show a quick picture, try to share, just so people understand how much of a gym that is. So you access it through Lake Ridge Park, but it's a total gym. I've taken my Cub Scouts there over the last 5 years, a couple times a year, and it's just an amazing place. So Friends of Dead House Canyon, thank you for all the restoration work you've done, because it's beautiful.
I'll thank them. I've just joined recently, so I feel like I can't take that praise. There are some people that have been in the organization for years and years, but I'll relay that back to the stewards. Yeah,
Are there,
good pictures.
are there any other questions? We'll open it up now for, is there any other community reports? Is there another organization on the meeting who would like to share something? Okay.
I'd just like to add on the West Hill Facebook page. I have posted some 6-minute video, an informational video, which is really more about the January meeting. But I hope that you would all review that video that gives the historical context for what's happening in the bottom of the canyon in terms of the salmon restoration, the sewer line that runs through the bottom of the canyon, and the very critical problem of landslides on the Lake Ridge side of the canyon, which is why, Cynthia, I was asking you about, does that particular sewer line hook up to the sewer that runs down through Dead Horse Canyon? Because some of the King County properties actually do tie into that sewer line. And so all this is related. So that is on the West Hill Facebook page and for you to peruse, but it's really about the next meeting, because I know this is when SBU comes to make their presentation, I'll have more to discuss at that time. But I'd like you all to take a look at that. And Chief Hicks, I do have to thank you very much. I was a forest firefighter years ago, and I know what that's about. And I really appreciate the work that you've done. I have to tell you that just showing up when a forest fire is burning is a big deal. So Chief Hicks, thank you so much, because that's a really tough job. And everybody else, thank you for being there. King County Sheriffs, you're so important to us. I know you cross the line when you come over, into Rainier Beach. Thank you for being there too. That's all I have to say. So that, by the way, that video is there available on the Facebook page for West Hill.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Are there any other comments? Okay. I'd like to go back and see if the King County Local Services, John Taylor or Bong have joined. No? Okay. Thank you, everyone. So now we're going to move into our main presentations. The first presentation we have is from the Washington State Department of Transportation. It's a State Route 900 targeted corridor study. Is April, are you on?
I am. Hello. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm also not the most technology savvy. So if I mess this up, let me know if you can't see it. All right. Hopefully that worked. Can you see it?
This looks great.
Perfect. So thank you for having me here to give an update. Christina Strawn, who is the area traffic engineer for King County, was not able to make tonight, but she was able to give me some of her pieces to share tonight as well. There it goes. So the big things I wanted to give an update on are some of the community engagement, the 2 community engagement events that we have gone to, and some of the feedback we heard and how we propose to incorporate that into the report, and then some updated recommended concepts and strategies, and to walk you guys through kind of what some possible feedback and next steps are as we move forward to trying to start designing this with the community and then constructing it. So this is the Health and Safety Fair, which is a great event that we went to. We also went to the King County Participatory Budgeting. We went to a pop-up at the very beginning of August. That pop-up was located at Creston Park, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. Creston Point, I believe, Apartments, drawing a blank for some reason. And that was really focused on trying to understand information on how they needed to cross the street, where they wanted to cross the street, and what their needs were to access things that they couldn't because of the roadway that's there. And then the Skyway Health and Community Fair, we talked about both the crossing as well as the roundabout to just understand what some of the concerns were and to understand how we can move forward and what that looks like and as we go forward. So this is kind of the overall initial. This has not changed since the initial. I haven't updated graphics or anything. Some of the things we heard from on the roundabout was a concern that trucks would just drive right over it or not being able to navigate it. There was also some pretty strong concerns from the community that it would be ignored, that we would have cars driving over the roundabout and it would end up not helping at that intersection. There was some concerns, and this is something we've heard throughout, is just the speed of State Route 900, sorry, doing another study on 99 as well, on 900, and how they could slow it down and how we could make this a safer place to be. And there was concern that this would be too hard to figure out for pedestrians crossing the street. For the projected crossing at Creston Point Apartments, we asked a lot of questions about where people wanted to cross the street. And overwhelmingly, we heard less about where people wanted to cross the street and more about the concern of where the location of the northbound stop is and how very far away it is from the other southbound stop. A lot of the feedback was that they did not necessarily worried about where the crossing was. They just wanted that stop moved and wherever the crossing to go to be convenient in order to access both the northbound and the southbound crossing stop. A couple of updated concepts and things to kind of add that we can add to the report to move forward. One of the things that we need to add is that this is going to require an intersection control evaluation at South 129th Street. And what this means is anytime WSDOT or any other agencies touches an intersection to do something to it, whether it's adding a signal or improving a ADA piece by putting a bulb out or something like that, we're required to do what's called an ICE. And what that looks like is trying to understand what is the best solution to improve mobility at that intersection. It looks at, is a roundabout make sense? What are the other pieces we could look at? As we kind of look through, and if we have a recommendation or a roundabout, one of the important critical pieces is doing that study and interacting and sharing that feedback from that study to make sure that's the right one based on a deeper data analysis. Additionally, one of the details that I'd like to add to the report is related to traffic calming. Speed is something we heard throughout this process over the last 2 years, and so emphasizing and adding some of the information on how this could become a way to slow traffic as it's entering the community. As you get off I-5 and come southbound, there's very little to kind of slow down the traffic, especially if the light is green and you can go straight through. So this would help with that piece. Additionally, adding very explicit information about how we can continue to engage. The planning study that we're doing now is literally the first step. There's a lot of pieces along the way that's going to be important for us to understand what the community needs. Some of the things we had heard as feedback related to design and whether the truck would just break a roundabout or mess it up. We had questions on whether we were just going to put the little poles in the ground and if people were just going to roll under it and it would look badly. Some of those pieces on how to address this roundabout would need to be decided in pre-design and design and after that ICE. So how do we continue to engage as we go through this is determine if the roundabout is the right decision. How do we design this so that the community is comfortable? How do we design it so the roundabout doesn't involve, allow a driver to roll over? And fundamentally, one of the big pieces that really resonated when I heard it was making sure the roundabout is a gateway to the community that is led by the community. So those are kind of the pieces that I think would be important to add, so we can give some depth on what the next steps are for the 129th intersection. First, to assess if it's the right solution by doing that required analysis. And second, to make sure that there is a community engagement every step of the way as we do determine what the right solution is, as we determine what are the things that we could do to make this roundabout really reflect the Skyway and West Hill communities areas. Another piece that really has come up that didn't raise necessarily a piece, but one of the efforts that WSDOT has been really emphasizing and coming through legislation is making sure that we're providing facilities for bicycles and pedestrians. And so one of the edits to the report that's being recommended is to widen the one side of the roadway from 8 feet to 10 feet. This would allow one side, that side of the street, which would be the north side, to better accommodate those that want to both bicycle as well as walk as they're using those facilities, and get them bicycles not to feel like they have to use the street and compete with vehicles. Additionally, an added nuance is making sure that we add that requirement of an ICE at the South 133rd Street. The report and recommendation recommends that we add a traffic signal with protected pedestrian crossings at that location. Because we would be touching the intersection, we would also have to do the same evaluation that we would have to do at 129. This would also involve needing to coordinate with the community to understand what the needs are, and to start looking at the data to emphasize these are the solutions to make sure that a traffic signal is the correct solution to add that needed pedestrian crossing in this location. And lastly, is the vicinity of Crescent Point Apartments. This one, we're not going to put a location on it. Originally, we had put kind of a line in the report of where the location needed to be. It became really crystal clear based on the feedback that it was incredibly important that we move the bus stop and open the crossing to serve both the northbound and southbound stop. Until we can continue to coordinate with Retro to understand where they would be willing to put that bus stop, and how close to South 135th Street, which is the preferred location based on what we heard from the community. Then we can cite the exact location to make sure that the location of that new pedestrian crossing serves both the relocated northbound stop as well as the southbound. So we're going to be putting in the report the recommendation to coordinate in order to move that stop, and then choose that location based on that relocated stop so that it makes sure that it is convenient to access both of those stops. So next steps, one of the pieces that I really want to emphasize, and I would like to put in the report, is just the continued need to understand the community and understand what's important as we start looking at some of these recommendations. The need to start seeking more funding for this one, and also the need to start looking at kind of design elements. What are those things that are critically important, like the gateway at 129th? How do we make that work with whatever comes out of the ICE report? The crossing, and how do we work with Metro? Those are kind of the next step, what we could be considered pre-design, where we're getting those design elements. We're doing some of the survey work to understand. We're looking at the ICE report and coordinating the community based on some of the data that's coming out of that. Additionally, we would need to update this report. This will enable us to start seeking some of that funding to keep having these conversations and design what needs to happen in these locations, and also incorporate into some strategies and partner plans as we're going forward. I think one of the big pieces is we are still in the running for designing the north side 10-foot shared use pass, as well as the 2-foot buffer to make sure you're not walking on the set, you're separated from traffic. I'm hoping we hear from that we were able to secure funding by April or May of next year, but we're going to continue to seek funding in other locations. So as we keep working through and working to understand what are the design details, what are the things we need to understand about what Skyway would like to have as a gateway to the community for 129th, then we could actually be able to kind of pull the trigger to get some of that funding. And with that, I am happy to take funding, and I apologize, my voice is going.
Is there any questions about this project?
This is Vicky again. I'm curious about the Creston Point. So you're saying that the community from Creston Point was more concerned with the bus stop moving, but is there a study underway to put in some kind of a crosswalk in between? Because I know people like to cross there.
This study is it. So this study identifies the need, and this is we've identified by publishing and getting this study in place, we can then go after the funding to design and construct that. That funding that I had talked about, the grant that I'm hoping we are able to secure extra funding in April of next year would include that crossing, as well as the 10-foot sidewalk on the north side of the street. That's considered phase one, the pieces that were really the highest need to start addressing. So that this report would enable us to get that in place. What we would need to do as WSDOT is to make sure we're coordinating with Metro so that they are aware and that we can simultaneously move that stop at the same time when we are able to put in that moved crossing.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions?
I agree, Ryan. One of the big things that we heard over and over again is the speed that is on this corridor and how dangerous it is to cross and to walk along. One of the big benefits of that roundabout, as well as adding places where cars have to stop. So the new crossing for pedestrians, the new signal at 133rd, something at 129th, is to break that flow of being able to lay on your gas pedal and not lay off. But there's other things that we're working on that weren't necessarily be in this report. I'm working with the safety office to understand what are the things that we could do now that cue drivers to understand that they need to slow down. There's ways that we can intervene in the environment that the driver is in to cue them to drive right down. Some simple kind of explanation is narrower lanes. When you're driving in a narrow lane, you tend to go slower because you feel like you're going to go off the lanes. Some of those other things, we're working to kind of identify some of those things we can put in the same place. Ultimately, what the goal is to lower the speed limit on this roadway.
Would the narrow lanes increase the likelihood of collisions because of the possibility of going too far or going over the ledge? Would that increase the chance of, if not head-on collisions, at least side swipes?
I'd have to talk to Christina. She is my traffic engineer that would be able to answer that. That's one example. I don't know if that's one they're considering. I should have made that much more clear, so I apologize. But we're trying to figure out ways that we can change the environment to make this a more pedestrian and bicycle friendly, and to make it easier to cross the street and lower the speed of the cars that are using it. The exact interventions, I don't have a clear list of what we can do along the way.
Are there any other questions?
And I'm happy, I'll drop my information in the chat. I'm happy to answer any questions. We are going to be staying engaged as we try to move forward and try to get more feedback on how we design this to make sure it reflects the needs of the community. And part of the ability of this planning is once we can get it through with more information on how we need to continue to engage and more information on how we can make decisions that incorporate the community feedback, the faster I can start pulling in funding to do some of the designing and construction work.
Thank you, April. Now we're going to move into our next presentation. It's on the Skyway Resource Center and updates from the Renton Innovation Zone Partnership, and that is Ryan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Quigtar. For those who I haven't met, I work for the Renton Innovation Zone Partnership, or RIZP, as we're commonly referred to. So I'm just going to share a little bit about what's been happening with the Skyway Resource Center. Almost to the day, it's been 2 years since we were officially recognized and designated as a HUD Envision Center. That was October 16th, 2020. October of 2021, we formally announced to the public that US Bank had donated their former bank branch building. And so now we're in October of 2022, and we've just completed our kind of years long work around community engagement for the design for the renovation. I do have a couple slides here that I want to share. And for those who were part of the UFSP meeting earlier today, bear with me because it's some of the same images and I'll be saying some of the same things. So y'all can be my co-presenters if I miss anything. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick. Okay, so just a quick context and background. This is the mission of what the Envision Centers are. The Envision Centers are a national place-based kind of initiative with 4 pillars: economic empowerment, educational advancement, health and wellness, and character and leadership. So offering services, programs, resources, kind of based on those 4 pillars. And the idea to support economic mobility for communities in which they're placed in. This definitely aligns with something that was called out in the Skyway-West Hill Action Plan back in 2016. And then even before that, there was some organizing done around a community center visioning. This is not the community center, but there were definitely themes that we pulled from that report. And we're working with the exact same architect and design schematic workshop. But what was specifically called out was to establish a space open to the community where service providers can conduct programs geared towards activities to benefit youth, seniors, and or other targeted populations. So this is an image of the potential tenants that we are engaging to move forward once the building is opened. The key word right now is potential. Nothing has been signed. We have had conversations with all these organizations here listed, and majority of them outside of, I think, the 2 King County logos here, even though DLS is over Skyway, everyone here pretty much, and Harborview, everyone else pretty much is based in Skyway or the South End. So that was really important for us to have local CBO organizations and give them a home, you know, for those who don't have one currently and we're looking for one. I think one of the cool things about the Skyway Resource Center is outside of, I would consider Nevzad community owned, but outside of his developing cafe, that's going to be across the street from his stand. There are no necessarily community owned spaces where we control programming per se. So I think once this is open, it'll be really cool to see how community decides how to activate the parking lot, how to, you know, host workshops in the building, different things that happen in the conference rooms, which I'll go into. So just really exciting to see this develop. So in terms of tenants, that's one of our next steps, is to engage further in conversations, secure lease agreements, figuring out operations and our operating model to move forward and just kind of go from there. So in terms of timeline, right now we're finishing up the concept and schematic design, and I'll show some images and a couple slides. And then moving into the fall through next year, finishing up design development and then going into permitting. We have had a meeting already with the permit and fire marshal, and was really good in terms of things that we thought would be required are not required. So it's kind of up to us if we want to include. And Chief Hicks is on the call, and he's already given some great advice beforehand. So I also feel good about saying this, but for those who aren't familiar, we technically don't need a fire sprinkler system in the building. To a lot of folks, that might sound kind of weird to say fire sprinkler systems not a requirement, but there are certain reasons for that. And currently, as the building is, there is no fire sprinkler system in what was the US Bank building. So for us, that's an option. Obviously, for community, the perception of safety is very important. So that's something that we're kind of on the table about around, do we have enough money to include that in our entire budget list? There's a number of other things that we got answers to in terms of permitting, what is required and what's not. One specific example from this is we are not required to include a lift or elevator in the building to the second floor. There is a partial second floor. For us, we do want to make sure there's ADA accessibility to the second floor because there's a large conference room and another restroom. So we will be including a lift in the building where the staircase is, and obviously part of our budget. We are looking at construction starting, right now the timeline says May. A lot of this has to deal with permitting. We're estimating 4 to 5 months. We heard a slightly shorter timeline from permitting, but we know things change, and that is a slow moving race when dealing with permitting. So we're just estimating on the conservative side. And again, January finishing up construction, but depending on, hopefully before the end of 2023, we would like to have construction fully complete and having some kind of grand opening ceremony either the end of 2023 or beginning of 2024. I will use this time as well to say, in terms of bid support, we will definitely be putting a call out to local contractors, or contractors who will be under a general contractor, electricians, plumbing, masons, all the different things that will be needed. We definitely want this to be as locally sourced and built as possible. We did already make contact with a local electrical company here in Skyway, which was really cool. So if there's any others that you know of, in the next couple of months, we're looking to have kind of a contractor's workshop for them to kind of learn about the ins and outs of the design so that they can be more competitive during the bidding process. Here's an example of the first floor plan. In total, there are, I think, 12 offices, both private and shared, and 2 conference rooms. So just for kind of orientation, to the right of the screen, this is the post office here. The bottom of the screen, this is 7-Eleven. And then to the left of the screen is across the street from the Skyway Library. Top of the screen is the fire station across the street. So as you're entering, still keeping the lobby as is for the most part in terms of size. We do want to figure out programming being larger gatherings here. That's how we've operated our design meetings to date in the lobby. The vault that is going to be there is going to stay. We're going to convert that to a meeting room. Don't really know exactly what it'll look like on the inside just yet, but I'm excited to see that come out. And a couple things here in terms of the video conferencing spaces. These are just private rooms. So if folks want to join a meeting, whether it's a job interview, a telehealth appointment, social security appointment, or anything that needs to be private and in a quiet space with great connection, no interruptions, these will be open to be reserved for community members to use. And then here on the right side of the building, I think one difference that we're looking at, and we are in conversation right now with US Bank, because they're now leasing space to operate their ATM, is actually moving their ATM to the second lane. And that would be then converting the first inner lane where the ATM currently is located for storage space. And one of the uses of that space would be for the Skyway-West Hill Library, which was named earlier in one of the previous slides. The reason for moving that would be if we converted the empty second lane, there would be a blockage and not, it would lower the visibility to the ATM. And in case of vandalism or attempted robbery of the ATM or anything like that, which unfortunately we have seen here in recent in Skyway. Second floor, I think the biggest thing to note here is extending the second floor out above the lobby. You'll see that in the next coming photos, and converting this into a large conference room. Right now, as it is, where the large conference room is actually just 2 restrooms and a mailroom, a small mailroom. So taking that all out, and making that to a large conference room. The other piece here to note is the stairwell. So the stairwell will be moved from the back of the building to the front of the building, and be replaced by a ADA restroom in the back. And again, with this stairwell, it's not pictured here where it will be, but there will be a lift for ADA accessibility. And I think next are a couple of photos, full size. Yep. So this is just one image of what we would like the building to look like. For those, again, understanding kind of where we are, the thing that stands out the most to me, obviously, is the green wall on the vegetation wall in the front of the building, but also the added vegetation here where I think there's like maybe 2 or 3 parking spots right here in the front, which is pretty cool. Side view here looking from kind of the post office and 7-Eleven corner. There is a ton of canvas on this building because of being just really straight lines and flat surfaces. So one of the things that we're really trying to activate is art in the building, on the building. You know, we have not, and it's not just up to the core team to decide. I continue to say this to them as well. You know, how often do we replace murals? If anyone's familiar, or if you wanted to look up Wynwood Walls in Miami, I only say this because I went to school down there. Wynwood Walls has a ton of wall space, and they always do really large murals, but they're actually kind of floated in and out every couple weeks or couple months. So I just say that to say, I'm not stuck with an idea of saying, we put a mural up, it has to stay forever. There's so many artists, from our students to adults to our elders, who I think who contribute in different ways. In another photo here, this is the walkway, where there's currently just the kind of covered area, but with this added vegetation wall to the right. This would help with shading in the summertime. Insulation, the building has 0 insulation as it is right now. And rendering of the outdoor cinema, which is pretty cool. So again, activating the outdoor space. And again, also not just the outdoor cinema, but the Urban Food Systems Packed Farmers Market, their first one being next Sunday. So I think, again, a lot of different opportunities here to activate for different things. This is a photo from the lobby. Again, more art on the inside. This is just an example. So they put Skyway here, but it is, again, not set in stone that it's going to look like that. However it's branded, I think it's still up to the community to decide. We have still a lot of decisions to make in terms of how the inside is decorated. Also the lobby opposite. Again, what's not pictured here is where the lift will be. So that was something that would still be included. This is the upstairs conference room. And then the windows to the right are looking over the lobby. And I think, yeah, that's it. So the last thing here on this slide is we are looking for more artists. I think we have 6 or 7 folks who have submitted information. But we did just secure a $50,000 grant from For Culture that'll go towards our capital funding to kind of build, whether it's racks on the outside or any display cases or anything, gallery walls on the inside to display art. So if you are an artist or if you know of anyone, please fill out the form. I'll put the link in the chat, or you can scan the QR code right here. One of the other things we're doing is also engaging our schools. So we are engaging the 3 elementary schools, Dimmitt, Renton, and Tally High School, for any students who are interested in submitting different ideas. We are also trying to think of different ways of, like, we don't want to just have one winner. We still want everyone else's ideas to be displayed somehow. So we're just trying to think about those different things. But yeah. Any questions?
I have a question. The floor plans that you showed, I didn't see those on the website at all. Are those available publicly right now or no?
Great question. I think, I'm not sure if Isaiah posted them on the Facebook page, but we haven't put any of the images on the website. I can let our comms person know to add those.
Okay, thanks. And then I know in the timeline calendar, you mentioned that you're still going through like design figuration and whatnot for inside. Are you still holding meetings for like the public to like pitch in terms of design, or are those totally done and it's now like an internal thing?
I think for like the design of the inside of the building, that is probably going to be way later, probably not until next year. And the only reason I say that is because that can be changed to a certain degree later on in the process. So it's not like we need to have answers right now to continue to engage and have those design meetings. We still have some time to figure out certain design elements on the interior of the building. So if we do, we don't have any design meetings anymore scheduled right now. But if we do need to have more, then we'll definitely advertise. But that probably won't be until 2023.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? And I just put the link in the chat for the artist call form.
Thank you, Ryan. Got a couple shout outs for all your good work. Okay, so now let's move on to our last presentation. It is the Renton School District, their school construction measure on our upcoming election. And that is Randy Matheson. Randy, are you on?
Yep, I am. Thank you. Going to move to share my screen. Forgive my fingers on this screen, guys. I've lost my Wi-Fi. I moved to my cell phone. Anything showing up there yet for you guys? Actually, it doesn't look like it's allowing me to share this screen. Hold on a second. There we go. All right. Is that viewable? Can we see that?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. Hi, my name is Randy Matheson. I'm the Executive Director of Community Relations in the Renton School District. Most students on the West Hill Skyway area attend our schools. Ryan actually mentioned them. They're Bryn Mawr, Campbell Hill, and Lake Ridge Elementary School and Dimmitt Middle School. And of course, all of those schools matriculate into Renton High School. In this presentation, I want to share some information about what is on your ballot. The election is November 8th. That's the deadline. Election actually starts tomorrow as ballots begin arriving in homes. But we do have a measure on the ballot. It is a school construction bond measure. You'll want to make sure you flip your ballot over to side 2. There are a lot of candidates running for office, federal, state, regional offices. Renton School District's measure moves to the back of the ballot. So please remember to flip your ballot over to find Renton School District's measure on side 2. School districts in Washington state do not receive any funding for large-scale school construction projects or large-scale renovations at schools. For instance, right now, we're actually building a new elementary school right off of Duval in the Sunset area of our district. That, along with a lot of other projects that's going on at Renton High, Lindbergh, Hazen, there's lots of projects going on at our high schools to increase space for hands-on learning and science classes. Our graduation requirements have shifted over the last few years. We're requiring more hands-on education like aerospace engineering, construction, healthcare, jobs in the healthcare field, and of course, science. And those new requirements mean we have to make alterations to our classrooms at our current high schools. Those projects, big projects like that, aren't paid for by federal or state funding. School districts have to put together long-range school construction plans and then break those plans down into smaller measures and present those to voters for approval. So this measure on your November 8th ballot includes some of those big projects that we need to move forward with to continue to improve our schools. So our voters over the years have overwhelmingly approved these school construction measures by 62, 64, and 72%. In 2019, we actually received that 72% support by voters. I think anyone's run for office or helped manage campaigns understands that 60, 72% means that voters are overwhelmingly in support of the things that you're doing. And with that support, we've been able to do things like replace and improve our school play fields, our high schools, our gyms, just lots of work throughout the district. This is a map of our district. And once again, our school district actually goes well beyond Renton proper. Our school district boundaries, like most school districts in the Puget Sound area, touch many other municipalities. Our school district actually is in 7 different municipalities: Renton, Skyway, Seattle, Bellevue, Newcastle, some of Tukwila, Kent, unincorporated King County. So we've got schools all over. And as you see in this map, those are the locations of our schools. And then that chart shows some of the work that we've been doing over the years. And what we want to show here is that we spread that work out. We make sure that when we plan these construction projects and present them to voters, that we're doing work in schools throughout our district, not just in 1 or 2 areas. So our work moving forward is spread out all over the district. And let's take a look at what some of that work is that's on your ballot. Safety and security, always top of mind for our school district, keeping students and staff safe. Our locking systems in schools have improved over the years. We want to continue doing that. All of our school classroom doors lock from the inside. Our perimeter doors are kept locked through the day, and one door at the front of the school is the main entry point for the school. If you see that picture down at the bottom of this slide, that's Lindbergh High School. What we're doing there is what we plan to do at all of our other schools, and that's create these vestibule entryways. So they're sort of double entryways. You come into the front of the school, and then there's a second door, and there's a partition between those two. We put video intercoms there, so front office staff can ask what your purpose is at the school and double check to make sure you should be coming in. I do want to mention that we don't want to harden our schools, right? We don't want to create schools where our parents can't get into them to pick up their child to take them to the doctor for the day or something like that. So we have to actually balance the safety and security measures with reality, and that is allowing access for our parents and staff who come in through the day. We have staff who go to various buildings for specialized care of students. They need to be able to get in and out of schools. But safety and security is very important. We want to continue improving our locking systems, our key entry systems, and these vestibule openings to schools. Right now at Lake Ridge Elementary School, actually, we are still in the construction mode. The front of that school is being remodeled to include one of these vestibules as well. So that's it's a complete reconfiguration of the front entrance of that school, the front office staff, video cameras to allow folks in, and so on. We also want to continue our seismic structural, the HVAC, or heating, ventilation, and air cooling systems in our schools. We always have to take a look at new guidelines and safety measures that are put in place by the state and federal governments to ensure our schools are able to withstand earthquakes or natural disasters. So we have to continue to improve our seismic and structural work in schools. Heating, ventilation, and air cooling systems, of course, are vitally important. They've always been important, but they became even more important through the pandemic to make sure that air quality in schools was constantly rejuvenated and remained consistent, so that the virus wasn't taking hold of folks inside the school. We did do some of that work, the HVAC work, during the pandemic, but of course, with our schools, and we have 25 schools throughout the district. Within our schools, some have been built as recently as 2018, and some Renton High School as far back as 113 years ago. So there's always work to be done in our schools, no matter how new or good they look on the outside. Structurally, there's always things to do. So here are the two high-end projects on this bond measure for November 8th. One, we want to find enough property, and that is about 30 to 40 acres, to build a new Renton High School campus. And I'm going to give you some reasons why we want to rebuild Renton High. In this slide, though, I want to stay on property. I bring the map up again on this slide to show you that we've got lots of area in our district to sort of work through to find property. It's not just in Renton proper. Lots of folks like to say, well, you're never going to find 30 to 40 acres in Renton. Possibly. That's quite probably, actually, because there's not a lot of land to be had. But our district goes well beyond Renton proper. So we've got lots of places to look at. Our intent is to find the property within the Renton High School boundary, the Renton High School service area, so that there is no disruption to boundaries. And our students on the West Hill continue going to the 3 elementary schools, Dimmitt Middle School, and then into Renton High School. So here's the reasons behind wanting to build a new Renton High School campus. First of all, Renton High School is built on a very small piece of property, considering what a high school should be built on. It's on about 20 acres of land. High schools are built on roughly 30 to 40 acres. You see on the slide there, both Hazen and Lindbergh are on property well beyond 30 acres. So Renton High School is built on a very small piece of land, and it's been there for a very long time, and there's not a lot of land around it to expand on. So there's not a lot of growth for us to sort of build out at Renton High. Lindbergh and Hazen actually do have space on their campus that we can build out on. In fact, we added a new science wing at Hazen High School a few years ago, and right now we're reconfiguring a large portion of Lindbergh High to expand it, build up and out, and we're expanding the footprint of that school, so there'll be lots of space at that school. We can't do that at Renton High because of where it sits in the city and because of it's on a small piece of property. Second of all, Renton High School is built on tribal land. We know that underneath Renton High School, both the Green and Black Rivers converged back in the 1800s, where a lot of Native peoples lived and had commerce and had community. And we know that underneath Renton High, there's a lot of that archaeological sort of history and artifacts that once we start digging around Renton High, we know that we have to bring in archaeological specialists and Native American specialists to oversee that kind of construction on that site. That impacts the cost for something at Renton High considerably. I mentioned that we did some work at Hazen High and we're currently doing work at Lindbergh High. Neither one of those schools have those restrictions. So we can set budgets for those kinds of construction projects without these added amenities that have to be on site when we do work at Renton High. So in order to do work at the site, we just have to budget considerably higher, which is a burden on taxpayers. And so that's a consideration for trying to build elsewhere as well. I want you to look quickly at that second photo in the slide. You see that is Renton High's footprint there in the blue and red. That red area of Renton High is an area that is the playfield, which we have not been able to actually do anything on for decades because that playfield, there's two reasons for that. One, that playfield sits directly on what we believe is the archaeological sites. Renton High School sits directly in the flight path of the Renton Municipal Airport. So that slide at the bottom, I don't know if you can make that out. That's an airplane that's passing right over the tennis courts at Renton High. You can physically see the person in the cockpit of those small planes talking on their headsets as they go to land if you're standing on Renton High School property. What that means is we can't, the Federal Aviation Administration will not let us build up at all on that site in that flight path. And of course, we wouldn't want to. We wouldn't want to impede air traffic, but we can't put lighting on that field. So that field in the wintertime by about 5 o'clock is just dark. It's useless. Can't be used by students. The lights on ball fields for high schools go 40, 45 feet in the air. In order to wash the area with light, you have to get up pretty high to shoot that light out across that large field. And we can't put those lights up because that would impede, that would be right in the flight path. We also can't build on that site. So we couldn't put a building on that site because we're restricted by the flight path as well. So there's that red area on that map literally has had nothing done to it for decades, and there's nothing we can do with it unless we decide we want to put a lot of cost in it for archaeological and Native American oversight. And even then, we're still within that flight path, so we can't build up on that thing anyway. We can't build up at Renton High, so we can't extend the height of the building. And those are just great restrictions on doing any kind of construction at Renton High. So the three main reasons for wanting to build a new Renton High School campus: small site, and it's on Native American land, and it's in the direct flight path of Renton Municipal Airport. Before I move on to the next slide, I do want to say this. We do not have plans. We will not tear Renton High School down if we build a new campus elsewhere. We will use Renton High for other purposes. One purpose could be, eventually, we're going to have to do extensive work at Dimmitt Middle School. There are over 900 kids that attend Dimmitt, so we can't move them to a small school while we do work on that school. So a possibility is to use Renton High as a staging area for a year or two as we do extensive upgrades at Dimmitt, house them at Renton High, bus them up there, and then bring them back home. And we could do the same thing for Nelson Middle School students. That middle school also in the near future will need some extensive work. So we can use the building. We have uses for it. It's a historic building. We do not plan to demolish that building, and we want to maintain its historic significance. So what's the cost to the measure? So those are the things that's on the ballot. Here's the cost to the measure. Our tax rates in the Renton School District have been decreasing since 2016. We've decreased by 34% since 2016, going from $5.35 down to $3.55. The reason for that is there is a great number of renters, homeowners, businesses, and others who have moved into the Renton School District who all pay the same tax. Our taxes are capped. So if there's more people and more businesses paying that tax, the less you would have to pay as an individual, right? Does that make sense? So more people paying, more businesses, even renters, part of their rent is taxes. The more folks that move into our district, the less the burden is on you as an individual. So even if this $676 million measure passes on the November 8th ballot, we're going to see our tax rates drop again in next year down to $3.16. That's another 39-cent savings for taxpayers. So we're able to do this work even if this bond measure passes and continue to see our tax rates decrease for the owner of property and renters and businesses in the district. This slide shows that decline that I mentioned since 2016. Tax rates have been consistently dropping. This is a stagnant screenshot that I present here. If you own a home that's worth $500,000 and it maintained that value over these years, you would have saved over $1,000 a year in taxes, rented school district taxes. Obviously, homes have increased in value and assessed value over the years. 500,000 is sort of a median range. There are some houses even going up in the West Hill Skyway area that well over $1 million. The more your home is valued at, the more your savings, because you're saving each year, you're saving a tax rate. As I mentioned in this one, in this slide, we go from $3.55 per thousand of assessed value. That means for every $1,000 that your property and home is worth, you pay $3.55. Next year, it drops to $3.16, even if this measure passes. So that is what's on the ballot. That's what it costs to move this plan forward. We've got this presentation and a lot more information is on our district website, rentonschools.us. Ballots come out tomorrow. You'd want to flip that thing over and vote by November 8th. We're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find lots of information on those sites. And we, on Friday, so they should be hitting mailboxes this week as well, we mailed every household in the district. And again, most of Skyway-West Hill is within the Renton School District. So you should be receiving a brochure, a mailer that actually outlines what's on the ballot, and it goes over what I've presented tonight. What's on the ballot, what it means to your taxes, and what our plans are moving forward. That is the presentation. Do we have any questions? Man, have I been muted this whole time? Is that what's happening?
No, I think it just was an excellent presentation.
Okay, all right, I'll take that.
Hey, my name is Malik. I have a question. It might not be 100% related to this, but I know in the Skyway area that there's a lack of sewer availability. I was wondering if this bond is going to help address that when you're talking about school expansions and stuff. I actually live right next to Dimmitt Middle School, and I don't have sewer on 80th Avenue South. And I have another property off of South 133rd. It's a multifamily, and I don't have sewer there either. And I guess this is just a general question for this community in general about sewer and infrastructure expansion in Skyway.
So I think there's still someone on the Zoom that can answer sewer questions. From the Renton School District standpoint, no, we don't do anything beyond our property proper. So we don't do any sewer or infrastructure work. We sometimes do work on improving sidewalks and roads that lead to the school as we're doing improvements, but nothing to do with infrastructure if that's sewer related.
I see. I appreciate your answer.
I have a question about utilizing the Renton High School for Dimmitt while renovations or something are being made. That it's concerning to me because it's right in the heart of downtown Renton, and I know the kids would be bused there, but I'm just thinking that's a really young age group. And I know that when I used to drive through there on my way to work, that the high schoolers would cross the street. They didn't cross the street, a crosswalk or what have you. So just concerned about the safety aspect and the traffic and all that in that space. And just wanted to know if there's been any, conversation around that or, thoughts around safety and the traffic.
I appreciate that. I want to be very clear here. We do not have any plans right now to move any students from Dimmitt to Renton High for renovations. That's just a concept that we could use that school. We could use Renton High for something like that if this bond passes and we move to actually build this new campus, the Renton High campus somewhere. I can tell you this though, if we do move forward and we're able to actually move students to Renton High from Dimmitt in order to do major work at Dimmitt, that school would be administered and managed much different than a high school. Students would be on campus. They're not allowed to leave campus for lunch. What you have seen at Renton High are students older students who are allowed to leave school to go to lunch. They go over to Safeway and they go to some local restaurants and they run out for lunch and then they come back to school. A middle school would not have that leeway. Middle school students would be kept on campus all day, and parents would pick them up or buses would take them home. So they wouldn't. And of course, if they came from the Dimmitt area, they wouldn't be walking. So there'd be no walking to Renton High from the Dimmitt area. So all kids would either be bused or dropped off by parents. And so it would be managed much differently than a high school.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Are there any other questions? Okay, it looks like we're going a little over time. I just want to thank everyone for attending and sharing all the great work you're doing. There's quite a few community events coming up in the next few weeks, especially around Halloween. I will try to work through the meeting to get a list of all the things that are happening. I know there's 3 Halloween things. There's a very important meeting coming up, I believe on Thursday, that Jeremy brought up from the Skyway Coalition about informing the developer of West Hill wants and needs for development. Is that this Thursday at 4:30?
Correct.
Jeremy?
That is this Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a critical meeting. We communicate with our friends and family that live in West Hill. Then I'm going to hand it over to, don't get mad at me, Devin, to provide an update on any other happenings. You still there, Devin?
I'm here. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Update on things that are happening. I wanted to definitely give a huge shout out to Miss Ayana Brown. Are you still with us in the Zoom room? Hey, there you are. I was hoping I could pass off in a second the mic to her for just a sec to shout out some of the things she has going on. But I just wanted to encourage everybody next Thursday, like Joel brought up, the 27th is our Halloween takeover. It starts at 6 o'clock at Skyway Park Bowl. There will be a trick or treat trail, so you'll get loaded up with candy. It's all ages. We have a live DJ. We have a magic show. We have activities and fun stuff all the way from 6 to 8 o'clock. If you can stick around, we'll be playing The Nightmare Before Christmas in 3D with real 3D glasses. It is one of those can't miss events, in addition to all the other fun stuff that's happening. We will try and keep the West Hill calendar updated, so we'll be adding a whole bunch of events to that and then posting those to our social media channels. So the very best way to stay connected to us, you can go to mywesthill.org/connect. There are a whole bunch of ways on that page to get connected to us from our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have several email newsletters. We have the website, the blog, and the email or the website calendar. And you can always reach out to us, contact@mywesthill.org or through any of our social media channels. If you have any questions or can't find anything, we'd be happy to help connect you. So I want to pass the rest of my time off if I can, Joel, if that's okay, to Miss Ayana.
That sounds good.
Awesome, thank you. Oh, and if I could add one more thing. One more exciting thing is we have our annual West Hill Community Association Halloween Spirit Contest. So if you have one photo, it has costumes, decorations, pumpkin you carved, anything Halloween, picture you drew, whatever you're proud of, shows Halloween spirit, just submit that one picture to us by Friday. You just go to mywesthill.org. You'll see a banner right at the top with a link. It'll take you to a form, drop that photo in. You can do it on your phone even. If you're chosen as one of the top 3 winners, you get one of those really flashy, exciting trophies I know some of you have seen, and a gift card to a local business. So do not pass up this opportunity. Go snap a photo of those costumes you're working on, the front door that you decorated, the jack-o'-lantern you carved, your dog's costume, anything that you have, send it into the Halloween Spirit Contest and you could win by Friday, mywesthill.org. Thank you guys.
Well, thank you, Ms. Devon. Thank you, Joel. Mariana Brown here of Elijah One's Hands. I want to say thank you to Miss Vicky. I know I said it in the chat already, but Miss Vicky Carriello for helping me pull off our coat giveaway. So Elijah One's Hands has 3 signature annual events that it does every year. And we are expanding that outreach. And one of them is a coat giveaway, and the other one is Shop with the Cops. So we did the coat giveaway at the storefront. It was between 200 and 300 coats that we gave away, and they're all brand new. And we are now getting ready for our Thanksgiving dinner at Tally High School. It's on Thanksgiving Day. And we are also preparing for Shop with the Cop that is slated for December 10th at our Renton Walmart. And so we're still getting the funding collected for that. So any donations or any funding sources that anybody can think of that would help us be able to get the funds for a Shop with the Cop would be greatly appreciated. We want to do school-age kids, and we're definitely preferencing our Skyway kids. So anyone who lives in West Hill, and we're keeping it elementary school up until Dimmitt. And so Dimmitt, Camber Hill, Lake Ridge, Bryn Mawr, those for our hill, that's who we are targeting. And yeah, that's.
So you're here because you're a cop?
I'm sorry?
Sorry, that was my husband. Didn't have it muted.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so that's it. We're getting ready for Thanksgiving. Bring your appetites. Same thing as far as the families that we're serving. We definitely want to reach out to our Skyway community. And so I will be getting that information to our school liaison so they can let those families know to come to Tally on Thanksgiving Day and come eat and enjoy themselves. Thank you.
Awesome. So there's one go back. Cynthia from Skyway Water and Sewer District would like to respond to Malik's question regarding infrastructure planning related to sewers.
So thank you for the time, Joel, and I'll be really brief. I encouraged Malik to attend this meeting because the situation he's in is not a lone situation. There are a number of properties up on the hill here who are still on septic, do not have access to public sewer. The district typically doesn't pay for extension of the mainline sewer system because the only money that's available to pay for that typically are customer rates. So that means that all the other community members would be paying for extension of a sewer or water system to serve people that have not been paying into the system. The only thing that the 2 other options that are available are to get grant money from somewhere or to form a local utility improvement district where a set of neighbors or a portion of the community agrees to enter in and form a district. Typically, Skyway, the water and sewer district, would manage that and do the construction. And then the people that have formed that ULID are assessed for that project. Now, there have been times in the past, last in 1989, where there was enough problems with the septic systems in the area that federal monies became available under the Clean Water Act. And the district was able to use that money to extend the sewer system. So I encouraged Malik to come to this organization, hoping that there may be an opportunity for that kind of support to bring other members who are on septic online to public sewer. So I'd like to keep that conversation going. And thank you for the question, Malik.
Is there a way that we can, like, maybe a future meeting as grant money for infrastructure becomes available, like it's an ongoing topic? Because that is a big deal if there's money for these types of projects to get people onto sewer.
And I'm sure there are people that are more expert than I am in that, but I think it's a great topic to continue the discussion on.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia. I appreciate you responding to that.
Absolutely, Malik.
Are there any other follow-on questions? Any other topics do you think should be included in this meeting that wasn't in this one? Infrastructure, I think, is a good one. Is there anything else? Okay, so thank you everyone for your time and all your great work. So we're a little over, sorry for that.